There was one line in episode 3 that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. The algorithm tells Camille that she was chosen because of her ability to lie. At first, that sounds like a compliment. The algorithm needs someone who can deceive people without hesitation. Someone who can keep the silo stable, even if that means hiding the truth from everyone living inside it. But the more I thought about it, the stranger that decision became. If the one quality you value most in a person is their ability to lie, how can you ever be certain they're telling the truth to you? I don't think that's a coincidence. What if Camille isn't just lying for the algorithm? What if she's lying to it? That completely changes the way I look at almost every scene she's been in this season. Up until now, it's been easy to see Camille as another loyal servant of the system. She follows instructions. She carries out impossible orders. She rarely questions what she's told to do. On the surface, she looks like the perfect person for the job, but Silo has never been a show that reveals its biggest secrets on the surface. Almost every major twist begins with a character pretending to be one thing, while quietly becoming something else. Juliette looked like an ordinary mechanic. Bernard looked like a leader who simply wanted order. Lukas looked like an astronomer with dangerous curiosity. None of them were exactly who they appeared to be. So why should Camille be any different? There's another detail that keeps bothering me. When the algorithm speaks to Camille, it sounds completely certain that she's still under its control. It doesn't interrogate her. It doesn't test her loyalty. It simply gives instructions and expects them to be carried out. That's confidence. Maybe even overconfidence. And overconfidence has caused some of the biggest mistakes in this series. Every time someone believes they have complete control, Silo finds a way to prove them wrong. Judicial believed it controlled information. Juliette proved it didn't. Bernard believed he could control the truth. That eventually slipped away from him too. Now the algorithm may be making the exact same mistake. It's placing enormous trust in one person, simply because she has always followed orders. But following orders and believing in them aren't the same thing. Episode 3 subtly hints that Camille understands this difference better than anyone. She's asked to oversee actions that affect the entire silo. She's expected to make decisions most people could never imagine making. And through all of it, she remains remarkably composed. Almost too composed. At first, I thought that meant she had accepted everything the algorithm was asking of her. Now I'm starting to wonder if that calm is hiding something else. Because there are really only two possibilities. Either Camille genuinely agrees with every decision the algorithm makes, or she's become exceptionally good at pretending that she does. Personally, I think the second option is far more interesting. Not because it turns Camille into a secret hero. That's too simple. What interests me is the possibility that she's buying herself time. Think about her position for a moment. If Camille openly refused the algorithm, what would happen? She'd immediately lose access. She'd lose influence. She'd lose any chance of protecting the people she still cares about. But if she continues appearing loyal, she stays exactly where she is, close to the center of power, close enough to influence what happens next. That's a much smarter strategy, and it's one that fits Silo remarkably well. This show has always rewarded patience over impulsive action. The biggest victories rarely come from charging straight into danger. They come from waiting for the right moment, learning how the system works, understanding its weaknesses, then making one move that changes everything. Camille is in a unique position to do exactly that. She's hearing things almost nobody else hears. She's receiving instructions almost nobody else receives. She knows what the algorithm fears. She knows what it's trying to protect. More importantly, she knows what it expects from her. That's valuable, because once you understand someone's expectations, you can begin controlling what they see. And that's where this theory really starts becoming interesting. The algorithm believes Camille is useful because she can deceive other people. What if Camille has realized that same skill works both ways? After all, deception isn't limited to one direction. A convincing lie doesn't care who the audience is, whether you're fooling an entire silo or fooling the machine giving you orders. The principle is exactly the same. I also don't think it's an accident that the show specifically uses the word lie. The writers could have described Camille in dozens of different ways: strategic, reliable, intelligent, practical. Instead, they chose the one quality that immediately plants doubt in our minds: a liar. That's an incredibly deliberate choice, because the moment someone tells us a character is exceptionally good at lying, we naturally start wondering when they're lying. Not just to everyone else, to everyone, including the algorithm. And if that's what's really happening, then episode 3 wasn't showing us an obedient servant carrying out orders. It may have been showing us the first move in a game the algorithm doesn't even realize has already begun. If this theory is right, then Camille isn't trying to beat the algorithm with force. She's trying to beat it with expectation. That's a very different kind of battle. The algorithm doesn't control people by standing over them with a weapon. It controls them because it believes it understands how they'll behave. Everything it does is based on prediction, centuries of data, patterns, probabilities. It sees human beings as something that can eventually be calculated. But what if Camille has found the one weakness in that way of thinking? The algorithm believes it knows why she lies. It assumes every lie she tells is another tool to keep the silo stable. That's exactly why it may never question her. Think about how dangerous that is. The safest place to hide isn't somewhere your enemy can't see. It's somewhere your enemy believes there's nothing to look for. Camille doesn't need to hide from the algorithm. She only needs to make sure the algorithm never has a reason to doubt her. And so far, she's done exactly that. There's another detail from episode 3 that I keep coming back to. The algorithm doesn't simply give Camille information. It gives her responsibility. That's an important distinction. Responsibility creates trust. The more responsibility someone receives, the less they're usually questioned. It's a cycle. The algorithm trusts Camille. Because it trusts her, it tells her more. Because she knows more, it trusts her even further. But every layer of trust also gives Camille another opportunity to shape events in ways the algorithm may never notice. That could become incredibly important later in the season. Imagine receiving an order that technically has to be completed, but nobody specifies exactly how. Camille could delay it, adjust it, interpret it differently. Choose the least harmful option while making it appear that nothing has changed. To the algorithm, the order was executed. To Camille, innocent lives were protected. That's not open rebellion. That's quiet resistance. And sometimes quiet resistance is much harder to detect. I also think there's another reason the writers gave Camille this storyline. Almost every major character in Silo has challenged the system from the outside. Juliette questioned it. Lukas uncovered secrets beneath it. Even the people protesting inside the silo are pushing against it from the outside. Camille is different. She's standing inside the machine. If she decides to change anything, she doesn't need to break through locked doors. She's already behind them. That's what makes her so unpredictable. Not because she's the strongest character, because she has access that almost nobody else has. There's also the question of Robert Sims. Episode 3 quietly suggests that the gap between Robert and Camille is growing. For years, Robert believed he understood what protecting the silo required. Now Camille is making decisions that even he seems uncomfortable with. I don't think that's accidental. The writers are placing them on opposite sides of a moral line. Robert once enforced the system. Camille is now being asked to preserve it at an even greater cost. That creates a fascinating possibility. What if Robert becomes the first person to realize Camille isn't being completely honest? Not because she's betraying him, but because she's carrying secrets that even he isn't supposed to know. That could completely change their relationship. Instead of Robert pulling Camille deeper into the system, he may become the one person reminding her there's still another way. And if that happens, the algorithm has an even bigger problem. Because it's one thing to deceive a machine. It's another to have someone standing beside you who gives you a reason to keep fighting for your own conscience. The more I think about this theory, the less I believe the final conflict of Season 3 is going to be about technology. It's going to be about trust. Who trusts whom? Who deserves that trust? And who has been quietly abusing it all along? The algorithm believes it understands Camille because it selected her. It believes it knows exactly how she'll respond under pressure. But history inside Silo keeps teaching the same lesson. The people who seem the most loyal often become the ones who change everything. Not overnight, not with dramatic speeches. One choice, one hidden decision, one lie that sends the entire future in a different direction. That's why I think episode 3 wasn't simply showing us Camille carrying out another mission. It may have been showing us someone carefully positioning herself for the moment that matters most. If that moment comes, I don't expect Camille to announce she's turning against the algorithm. I think she'll do something much more dangerous. She'll make the algorithm believe it has won, while quietly making the choice that causes it to lose. And if she really is the best liar in Silo 18, then perhaps the greatest lie she ever tells won't be to the people around her. It'll be to the one voice that believed it could predict every move she'd ever make.